every time we hear bullying stories on the news, it always ends with bullying to death. It's not the case in these stories. And there are loads more from Arvin High. And there's like loads of cases of bullying. So, let's just start off with that. Because all this month we are dealing with bullying. And it's a viral video. So let's take a look at this, and then we'll read these articles.
We're covering breaking news for you tonight at 6. Arvin parents outraged tonight after a video went viral earlier today of a 16-year-old student crying while getting chunks of his hair cut off by other students at Arvin High School. The video shows the bullied student sitting down while other students are surrounding him, cutting his hair. We are not airing this video because the student is a juvenile and his mother asked us not to. Family and friends of the boy protested at San Diego Park in Lamont this afternoon to talk to the media about this. A family member says the bullied student is a special ed student, and the boy agreed to get a haircut by these students because he thought they were his friends. The video has gained a lot of attention. Many parents demanding the district take action to prevent this type of bullying from happening again. Any type of bullying, for that matter. In a statement, the Kern High School District said this afternoon, Arvin High School administration is aware of the video that is circulating on social media. It goes on to say the behavior exhibited in the video is clearly unacceptable, and we do not condone bullying of any kind. When students breach the boundaries of acceptable behavior, they will be held accountable for their actions, and the school will provide support to any affected student. The incident is being thoroughly investigated, and appropriate disciplinary actions will be taken. Another protest is happening tomorrow morning outside Arvin High. 17 News will be there to cover it.
Let's go to that protest. Alright, so now let's go to the articles and talk about this. Protesters outrage over alleged bullying incident at Arvin High. In California, local schools are responding to a video circulating on social media showing an alleged bullying incident at Arvin High this week. They chose not to air. So now the school is investigating this, and so now again they're not airing this viral video because the bullying victim is the juvenile, and the parents say they don't want this happen. So we're electing not to air because we can't. I'm electing not to air because I can't find it. The council member Daniel Boney said he's outraged by the video taken at the high school. He takes physical language. You hear one of the students tell him not to cry in Spanish, and the group laughs. So yeah. I mean, all this is circulating all on social media. But here is the very latest from today. 2 Arvin High employees are placed on leave after that bullying incident. A current high school district spokesman confirmed that 2 employees at the school have been placed on leave following the bullying incident caught on video. The district told the station it's unable to comment because of these matters. They're not airing the video because students are juvenile, and the mother asked us not to air it. Again, we don't know. So as soon as stuff like this happens, we'll be updated. So this is what the statement said. Arvin High administration is aware of the video concerning social media. The behavior exhibited in the video is clearly unacceptable. And we do not condone bullying of any kinds. When students breach the boundaries of acceptable behavior, they will be held accountable for their actions, and the school will provide support to any affected student. The incident is being thoroughly investigated, and appropriate disciplinary actions will be taken. Administrators at Arvin High also responded to the video treating in regards because of this. The California Department of Education defines bullying as physical, hitting, kicking, spitting, pushing, verbal, teasing, threatening, or name calling. Psychological, excluding someone, spreading rumors, or sexual bullying is touching, assault, exposing themselves to one another. So that's basically the whole definition of bullying. You may have heard the case of Ethan Crumley. He's now pleaded guilty. We'll hear his story up next. Then the same thing happens every time. Some NAQ students feel ignored over complaints of bullying racism. Then another teen speaks out about bullying at the school. Some say has the troubling intent. Stay with us. Up front tonight, school shooting guilty. Ethan Crumley, the accused high school shooter, which we've been telling you about throughout the weeks and months here at the show. The accused Oxford high school shooter is suspected to plead guilty to murder terrorism charges. The guilty plea is expected to be entered on Monday. Crumley is facing 24 felony counts as an adult, including 1 count of terrorism causing death, 4 counts of first-degree murder, 7 counts of assault with intent to murder, and 12 counts of possession with a firearm in the commission of a felony. The accused shooter was denied bond under his arraignment. His lawyer entered a not guilty plea on his behalf. A court following in January revealed that Crumley intends to assert the defense of his insanity at the time the alleged gives his intention to the claim of defense. Now the community is like reacting like there'll be a guilty plea. Parents, friends, family think it's time to resolve the situation. I think it's time to get this over with. Having to relieve this, all the victims through a trial and having it drawn for possibility for years is not a case scenario. It's time to rip the band-aid off. I am broken. I am grieving. I want to know everything that led up to that day and everything that happened that day. Well, we know so far is that the school is doing an independent investigation into what happened during that horrific day. We know that the parents were involved in this because the parents bought Ethan the gun. And if you do, that's still involuntary manslaughter. Slaughter in some cases. Some cases, if you decide to get him a gun, then still carry out the murder. That still qualifies under the involuntary manslaughter. Crop HS Magnet students accuse the theater teacher of bullying and discrimination over a canceled school trip. A group of outreach seniors at Dr. Michael M. Drop High say they are being discriminated against and are blaming their new teacher of bullying. We're being bullied for months now, and it won't end. This is our future in her hands, and she's just playing at it. It's not cool or funny. The school has a magnet program for the arts, and students told CBS 4 Thursday they got a new theater teacher this year. The high school seniors have been looking forward to attending the FTC conference in Central Florida in November, where representatives of more than 50 universities will be there, along with opportunities for scholarships. The students raised more than $5,000 to attend the convention, but their teacher told them this week no one is going to no longer be a school-sponsored trip. The students couldn't make the trip on their own, but they would have to find a chaperone and pay for their own expenses. The reason? They say it has changed daily. CBS 4 reached out to the theater conference officials, and they said every student signed up on time. The district sent a written statement saying it is unfortunate in that case that a few students completed the necessary travel permission documents within the established timeline to allow the trip to move forward. The district explained the teacher could have had a different deadline in the convention. The president of the theater group, and she says every senior in the theater program is a minority. Maltreated classmate says it's an issue of discrimination. But this is a case of teachers bullying students. That's the whole case. So was there any disciplinary action? We don't know. Another teen speaks about bullying at a school. Some say that it has a troubling trend. It's all about Grayson Barachina. It happened back on October 18th. It's transgender. I was pushed down the stairs. I was shoved into hallways. Kids would push me in doorways, tell me that I'm not right. What message is it you're sending these kids? You're not supposed to be going to this place that's safe and nurturing. Now there's another type of racist bullying. Same thing happens every time. Some Anarchy students feel ignored over complaints of bullying, which is racism. That's what some students in Colorado and Anarchy say they face on a daily basis. Now they call on the school districts to do better. During the last night's board meeting, 5 students spoke up about the racism they say they faced in the district. Some told the board they've gone to teachers and administrators multiple times over the years, but they ultimately felt ignored. The president apologized to the students for their experiences and thanked them for sharing. They will follow up with them about these incidents, and we'll keep you posted on what's been going on. Because let me tell you something. I take this bullying business very seriously. That's why I dedicate shows like this to bullying, so that y'all can learn some tips and not go down the path that you want to go. Let's not make this happen again. Because seriously, committing suicide needs to stop. Period. Do you own a car that has a rolled back odometer? Well, up next, you're going to meet a woman who says she was sold a car with a rolled back odometer. It's a similar thing on 60 Minutes. And coming up, you'll see that report along with the Inside Edition investigation. Stay with us. You ever heard of the definition cream puff? It's a term used for rolled back odometers. You go to the used car lot and buy a car. What if you realized that the car is being rolled back a lot of miles? It's exactly what happens. And if you remember, if you watched the 60 Minutes report back in 1990, which I'm going to show you right now, you may realize what I'm talking about. Take a look.
If you just bought a used car with low mileage, a real cream puff, and you didn't buy it from your mother, chances are probably 1 in 3 that you're a victim of the biggest consumer fraud in America. And I wouldn't be so sure about your mother. Your used car may have been around the block a lot more times than the odometer, that mileage meter on the dashboard, would indicate, which could mean the car has a lot more problems than you think, and you probably paid a lot more money for it than you should have. Steve Croft could have gone anywhere to find out how they turn back the clock. He chose Houston, where he saw exactly how they do it.
So you're Steve Croft.
There are 2 ways to do this. I'm going to do it the easy way.
This is not a demonstration for our television camera. What you're watching is a crime in progress. This man is adding about $2,000 to the value of this 1985 Buick by losing 50,000 miles off the odometer. In the used car business, it's called busting miles or whipping miles.
Where you grab them has a whole lot to do with how they turn out.
He doesn't know we're taping him. We set up a hidden camera in a nearby van before he arrived. He charges $50 a car and expects to make $400 today, tax-free. And he didn't even start until after lunch. These are the men who hired him, John Hazlett and Charles Vance, 2 former used car dealers who invited us down to Houston to help expose the crooks.
As far as odometer rollback men themselves, the person that does the mechanics of it, there's, I would say 50 in town.
Find them in the yellow pages?
No, but you can pick up the phone and do it. We did it. We had them waiting in line to do it.
The reason Charles Vance and John Hazlett know so much about the used car business is they were in it for 20 years until they got fed up and quit. They told us so many of their competitors were rolling back miles, there was no way to survive in the business without doing the same thing. Houston police told us they were trustworthy and reliable.
The way the business is right now is completely dominated and controlled by mile busters, which has inflated the car prices to a certain level that a legitimate wholesaler cannot operate in it.
One of the first people Charles and John introduced us to was Bill Whitlow, the heavy-set fellow in the boss hog hat. He's been a used car wholesaler for 40 years and is called the granddaddy of the Houston Mile Busters. Whitlow will buy a trade-in from a used car dealer, roll back the miles, then sell it to a different dealer. Our camera was hidden across the street when Whitlow began bragging about the tens of thousands of miles he's rolled off these cars.
That one was 65.
65. What's on it now?
And that one was 70. I know what it was.
And they're 40 and 40 now?
Yeah, let's see what they are. They've got 39.
39,000?
They've got 42.
But rolling back the miles is only half the trick. The title has to be forged to match the new odometer reading. Charles and John told Whitlow that they already had somebody who could forge the titles. Whitlow said he could do it better and probably cheaper.
What they been charging?
$200 a copy.
Oh, damn. I ain't gonna tell you who's doing mine,
But how much will you charge? I don't want to know who's doing it.
$100 a copy.
Damn, we'll go for that.
What about if
Immediately.
What about if John gives you like 30 of them a week? Any cheaper?
We'll make a deal.
Okay. Well, you'll handle them all.
Yeah.
38.
So Charles gave Whitlow a title and asked him to forge it, lowering the odometer reading by 60,000 miles. When Whitlow brought the finished product by the next day, we had the camera concealed behind a wall in Charles and John's office. I put on sunglasses and posed as a friend of theirs who might want to invest $100,000 in Whitlow's rollback operation.
He's already changed the miles and you can virtually not detect it.
I ain't never had one kick back on me. I guess I've been lucky, but I guess I ain't.
You that are good.
Just good work.
Yeah, good work.
Good work and plenty of it. Plenty of titles, plenty of cars.
How many of these you do a month?
Good months I'll do 75 myself.
Whitlow claims he makes less than $1,000 a car, but that's still pretty good money. How much money does he make a month?
I'll say an average month you'll make 50 grand.
50 grand.
Yeah. See, I'm not as fast as I used to be. I know how
The best part of it for Whitlow is, he says the $50,000 a month is all tax-free.
Well, I ain't filed income tax myself for 13 years, 15 years.
There's no wholesaler stand in this town that's making money. It's not whipping miles. Is that true?
I don't know none.
That's right.
This is not exactly legal, right?
What?
This is not exactly legal, right? What's the downside? I want to know what the downside is.
It's not exactly legal, no.
We found this Bill Whitlow special on the used car lot of Russell and Smith Ford, a 1987 Aerostar van, a real cream puff, and only 52,000 miles, according to the odometer. But Charles Vance and John Hazlett had been tracking this van. When Bill Whitlow bought it from another Houston dealer, it had 131,000 miles on it. When he resold it to Russell and Smith Ford, 80,000 miles had vanished. With our cameras hidden, we asked the salesman about the van.
52,000 miles. And you're sure of the mileage?
You know, I just figured out who this man looks like. You look like that guy that does that 60 Minutes thing on TV. You do. You look like that guy.
Steve Croft.
Yes.
How you doing?
Your
name is?
Raymond Mason.
Raymond, nice
You're
to meet
not
you.
Steve Croft.
I am.
No, you're not.
I am. What would you say, Raymond, if I told you that this car had 131,000 miles on it?
I'd say you can show me.
So we showed him an odometer statement proving that when the van was sold to Bill Whitlow, it had 80,000 more miles on it. That surprised Mesa, and so did our camera.
Yeah, that's amazing. 50
General Sales Manager Vincent Alfano and used car manager Tom DeLisi agreed that the van had been rolled back.
Of course, we probably took it on a trade-in, and people traded me and signed an odometer statement stating the actual miles that, that's on the car. We don't follow these people around for years. We just take cars on trade. And
Have you ever heard of a gentleman by the name of Bill Whitlow?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
You know Bill Whitlow?
Yeah.
I think you bought this vehicle from Bill Whitlow.
73 number. It's possible.
Suppose I told you that Bill Whitlow told us just about an hour ago that the only cars he ever sells are all had their odometers turned back. Would that surprise you?
Yes, it would.
Maybe he really was surprised, but Bill Whitlow had told us earlier that most dealers suspect his cars have been rolled back.
Well, they have an idea. They don't want to know it. They got an idea, yeah.
No, that's not true, because I do not know that.
He's the only one in town that wouldn't know if he didn't.
I mean, it's just common knowledge. Flies gather on horses, Bill Whitlow hit miles.
Vance and Hazlett say it's not that difficult for a dealer to find out if a car's been rolled back. The dealer can check its title history, even its service record.
You could have taken 5 more minutes. You could have taken the serial number from this car, punched it into your computer, found out the last time this car was serviced, who owned the car, and what the mileage was, right?
I don't know. I imagine that's possible.
But authorities say few dealers make the effort.
They bring it in. It looks like it's got 52,000 miles on it. Looks pretty clean.
Yeah.
You don't see any reason to check. You don't want to know if it's more than that.
In my opinion, it's his obligation and his job to check that car. And if a man has been in the car business for 20 years, like he said he had, and he can't tell the difference between 131,000 miles and 52,000 miles, he needs to get another job.
What percentage of the cars sitting on used car lots have had their odometers rolled back?
I'd say 40% of the cars.
Really?
I was going to say 50 out of 200 definitely, in cases that I've investigated myself.
How many Bill Whitlows are there in Houston?
There's only one Bill Whitlow. If you ask me how many mile busters there are in Houston, let's say there's probably 15 large ones and a lot of small ones. A lot of small ones.
At Greenspoint Dodge, we found a red Toronado that had been whipped by another wholesaler. We showed the salesman proof that the car had gone at least 78,000 miles, even though the odometer showed only 49,000. This time, the sales manager didn't seem all that grateful for the information.
I don't have to talk to you. Hey, you want Dr. May? Come on. What's
We
the
just
deal?
had a question. Hi, my name's Steve Croft.
I'm Jim Williams. How you doing?
For 60 Minutes. We're here looking at this car, and we just wanted to know where did those 30,000 miles go, and how did this happen?
I have no idea.
But you've looked at the piece of paper.
Yeah, I've looked at it. I'm going to call the guy that could have sold me the car and make him buy it back.
But first, he gave us one last chance.
Do you want to buy the car?
I don't think we want to buy it at the price you're asking.
Then what are you worried about it for?
Literally, someplace along the line, this car's lost 30,000 miles.
No,
I just want to find out if you knew about it.
No, I don't know about it.
And
We do not do anything like that.
Apparently, Greenspoint Dodge did not have anything to do with the rollback. The odometer was whipped by the wholesaler who had bought the car at an auction.
What are you saying right here?
170,000 cars get auctioned every week. Many are high mileage, late model cars perfect for wholesalers who can roll up profits by rolling back miles. Anglo American Auctions, headquartered in Nashville, Tennessee, says it spent $2 million on a computer system to try and keep rollback cars out of its auctions. But Security Chief Gary Dickinson admits that he can't prevent buyers from busting the miles later.
we see where the problem is, and we're helpless to do anything about it.
Dickinson says the problem is every state has a different kind of title, and all but a few are too easy to forge.
What's the answer? A uniform title.
So you're talking about standardized title forms throughout the country?
Absolutely.
Would that wipe it out?
It would go a long way to start. It is so well entrenched, it'll take years to wipe it out.
Is there anything the consumer can do when he's out shopping in a lot?
The only thing the consumer can do is take the car to a mechanic before he buys the car.
Greg Carlos wishes he'd gone to a mechanic before he spent $25,000 on a Mercedes. He thought it had low mileage and figured nothing could go wrong.
Well, little did I know, 48 hours after I bought it, that the right window wouldn't work. The left window went down halfway. The sunroof stopped working. The air conditioner came out the floor, but didn't come out the front. The back recliners didn't work. The windshield wipers didn't work. The pretentious little windshield wipers on the front lights didn't work. But still, I owned a Mercedes.
But after investigating, Carlos discovered the odometer had been rolled back. He suspects more than once. When he couldn't get satisfaction from the dealer, he went berserk.
There were people in the showroom at Mercedes. They're about to buy a Mercedes-Benz. I lost it. I freaked out and I go, rich people don't buy that car. They sold me a Mercedes-Benz with a rolled back odometer. And I am blowing it. I'm freaking out left and right. And of course, the showroom is clearing out left and right.
Finally, Valley Motors near Los Angeles took back the car and gave Carlos a full refund. Valley Motors insisted didn't know about the rollback, and it probably didn't.
The story will continue after this.
So, yeah. But the question is this man willing to confess about what happened?
Help remove your...
Or willing to be turned the tables when 60 Minutes comes in full view. Conclusion to Cream Puff when we come back. That's the conclusion to the story. You've heard about these cars that are being rolled back by the odometer. It's called Cream Puff or breaking mileage. You've heard from one dealer who says he rolled back and he made a lot of money tax-free. Now the tables are being turned on him. Once again, here's Steve Croft.
I says Mile Busters cost...
Now once again, here's Steve Croft.
The FBI says Mile Busters cost car buyers $4 billion a year. Charles Vance says it's not a high priority with the police.
We really don't have a task force or a department in Houston set up to investigate this. There's just no money and no manpower.
I'll tell you what, if I had to quit it, I'd get out of the car business.
Couldn't make any money if you didn't
I
do
don't believe there's enough money for me out there if I do it as a gentleman.
I want to show you one thing.
All right.
You know what's back there?
What's back there?
Yeah.
No.
There's a TV camera back there.
What is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
We've been taping this whole thing.
Well, all right.
The good news is we're not cops.
Well, I didn't think so.
The bad news is we're 60 Minutes, and you're not worried about the cops.
Not really.
And by the way, according to Charles Vance, the truck Bill Whitlow rode off in had been rolled back 70,000 miles.
Did you feel bad afterwards when we pointed them towards the camera?
I didn't feel bad then, and I don't feel bad now. I think it's time the car business needs to be cleaned up in Houston, where everybody can get back and make some straight, honest money.
After we left, Vance and Hazlett got threatening phone calls and a more serious warning. Someone fired 2 bullets through their office wall.
The gunshots were actually about less than 100 yards from where I live, so I have a major concern for my family at this time.
Vance and Hazlett say because we came to Houston, police are now taking a closer look at odometers, and dealers are taking a closer look at cars they buy from wholesalers. But the threatening phone calls keep coming.
Is this Charles Vance?
This is he.
The bullet holes you found in your building are nothing compared to the bullet holes you're going to find in your body. You and John don't stop this 60 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is your last warning. I'm telling you this right now.
So how can you avoid this odometer being rolled? How do you avoid odometer fraud? There are 7 steps you can take. Number 1 is examine the odometer for number of miles. Look closely at the numbers in the odometer. Some automakers program odometers to show an added risk of the mileage change. GM mechanical odometers have a black space between numbers. If you see a white silver space, the GM odometer probably has been changed. Number 2, ask the seller for the original title, not a duplicate. If the title is from out of state or brand new, it may be a case of title fraud, and the mileage given may be false. Be sure to examine the title's mileage number closely and look for smudging or other tampering. The title should show the mileage crisp type on a clean background. Ask to see an oil change and maintenance receipts and inspection stickers. Examine the mileage receipts and inspection stickers and compare the odometer. Inspection stickers can be found on door frames and windows. Look for missing screws or on or near the dashboard. If the dashboard isn't put together perfectly, the odometer may have been tampered with. 5. Inspect the brake pedal and floor mats. Either it's badly worn but the odometer has low mileage, maybe because of odometer fraud. Take the vehicle to a mechanic and ask him to examine the car for wear and tear. The mechanic knows what parts would be original for an older car. For instance, a car's odometer may be missing 37 miles. Beware if a car has new parts that ordinarily would not be replaced 60 miles. Measure the depth of the tread on the car's tires. If the odometer says 25,000 miles, the car should still have its original tires, with tread deeper than 2 such use of an inch. Ask the mechanic to check the tread with a depth range. And here in the U.S., you can check the vehicle's history and odometer reading at thevehiclehistory.gov, a non-profit organization by the Congress. As with panel and copperware, windshield and paint, of course, absence needs to tell you nothing. And there's a case of title laundering happening, and on Give Me Rick Saturday, we're going to show you a Dateline hidden camera investigation about title laundering, possible Carfax. Now, the investigation from Inside Edition about odometers. Because odometer fraud it's all over the news. Because really, this has been all over the news. Take a look.
Way back when, an unscrupulous car dealer could roll back the car's odometer to fool a buyer into thinking it had less mileage. But in today's digital world, that's not possible, right? Well, Lisa Guerrero reports that today's fraudsters have more modern tricks.
It used to be the classic car scam.
You run it backwards, the numbers go down.
Rolling back the odometer to make the miles disappear. And for shady car dealers like Danny DeVito and Matilda, fewer miles means more money.
Daddy, that's cheating.
Of course it's cheating. Nobody ever got rich being honest.
But now that cars have digital odometers, most people think it's a problem of the past. Think again. With cheap devices available online, it's easier than ever for scammers to mess with the mileage on used vehicles and sell them for thousands more than they're worth.
This is our 2012 Dodge Charger, and you wouldn't believe what we're left with.
Oh my God. The bumper just came right off of this car.
Exactly.
This is unbelievable.
When Jennifer Thibodeau came across this slick black Dodge Charger with just 75,000 miles, she thought it was the perfect first car for her son. She paid $11,000. But after just a few days of driving, the engine light came on, so she brought it to a mechanic.
After they took it apart and gave me a full safety inspection, they wouldn't let me drive it away. They said this car's been in a major accident.
According to Jennifer, it actually had at least 110,000 miles on it, and it was in such bad shape, the mechanic wouldn't allow it back on the road.
I really just have a pile of parts and a bill at this point.
The Michigan dealer where she bought it refuses to refund her, saying they had no idea the odometer had been rolled back. And the dealer who owned it before them says they had no part in the deception either. Jennifer is now suing both. Josh Engel, owner of Atlanta Speedometer, showed us how it can be done in seconds with a digital rollback device that's sold online.
A few simple clicks of the button, change the mileage to whatever you want to, and we can knock 100,000 miles off of it real fast.
Carfax representative Emily Voss says with these crimes on the rise, it's important to take precautions before buying a used vehicle.
Get the Carfax report, take it to a mechanic, take it on a test drive, and really you should do all three of those things. And that's your best bet at not having a surprise down the road.
Those are very good tips. So if you want to avoid digital odometer fraud like this, try to look out for used mileage. But coming up tomorrow on Give Me a Break, let me give you a little preview. Let me give you a preview of tomorrow's Give Me a Break. Because this is still going on. These frauds are still happening. So here's a preview.
Friday, May 1st, 1998. Tonight, you were looking for a used car and think you found just the one.
What did they tell you about that vehicle?
Basically, it was a theft recovery and light front end damage.
But the truth may be something else entirely.
They hauled it out of a lake.
Cars considered totaled are being put back on the road, and Dateline's hidden cameras found some of the dealers who are doing it.
I stand behind my body work.
But this young woman says after buying a car from the lot, the roof simply crumbled in an accident.
I think I realized I couldn't move my arms.
How are dealers selling these rebuilt wrecks? Bob McEwen with the Dateline hidden camera investigation.
That's tomorrow, and that's all for this edition of Give Me a Break Friday going to Saturday. We will see you again for Give Me a Break Saturday night. And for all of us here at Give Me a Break on YouTube, stop bullying, speak up. Good night, everyone.